You cut it close, Ray.
I, yeah, I made her back. We like I said, the wife she got a new pedicure. What's that thing called? Pedicure chair. So Luke's trucking service went and picked it up. So we're back in action now.
Right on the dot.
Right on the dot. I was luckily that guy was there when I got there to help me load it because I never would be able to pick it up myself. So all right, Max, you're gonna have to go back. Go on. So how's the fam band doing up there north?
Oh, that's good. Mom just rolled into town and grabbed dinner, so she'll be
yeah. You're still alive.
Still alive yet, still kicking. Grabbed some pizza, and she made a pit stop at the gas station. I don't know why, but I was running low on. I was running low on water for some reason. I don't know why.
Figured so. What about the little brown jugs? Is it up there? Y'all made it there yet?
No, I haven't been to LBJ's yet. I don't know if I'm gonna make her there this weekend. It's gonna be straight hardcore fishing here the next 4 days.
Walleye? Gosh, dang.
I gotta silence that. Gosh, dang. Hold on here. Why don't I know it? Anyways, well, we might as well kick this thing off. We got some viewers.
They're wired up.
Get her wired up. So welcome back to another Tourney Talk this week. Coming off a hot finish at Lake Hartwell for Luke. As you can see, Blake isn't joining us tonight. He's fishing the Toyota Series on Lake Eufaula this week. So day one was today. I believe I looked at standings. He's sitting in like 13th or 14th place right now. So not a bad start. Conditions, I guess, are off the charts, as Luke says. Water's way high. Looks like it's going to make that thing interesting because I think he didn't have very much weight and he's in 13th or 14th. So it's got to be pretty tough down there for them. But we got a good one coming down the pipe. Luke's hot off a pretty damn good finish. So we'll probably jump right into Lake Hartwell, kind of give you his thoughts on how that all went, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, hell, just going to the Eufaula deal though, man. I've been watching it because me and my dad are supposed maybe going to fish the Skeeter there Sunday, or the XFL, and the water. If I'm looking at things right now, I'm not very good looking at the water table, but it looks like it's came up almost over a foot since last night at midnight. And Eufaula is already like 100,000 acres, and it's coming up a foot a day. That's insane. Like that's a ton of water, and all the water's not even there yet. Oklahoma City got pounded, Shawnee, all that through there, and that's kind of the watershed that really makes Eufaula come up when the water gets there. So I think you'd be unloading in the parking lots here before long. So it's getting up there. Those I think I looked and 13 something's leading it right now, which that's what happens. The water's coming up. It makes it really tough. If it's coming up, 6 inches a day, not a foot and a half or whatever it is, and it's super high. And Eufaula is relatively flat anyway to an extent. So I mean that water, it might only be up 2 foot, but it can be 50 yards back in the bushes. So imagine when it's 6 foot high, there's you're literally fishing people's back doors almost. So we'll see how that goes as far as they keep it down. And I wish I could have went and fished it, and just because it's right here at home. That's a big tournament, some good money. But I was glad to get home and see the boy and the wife and kids and stuff. So it's been good to be home for a few days. But especially off our 3-week hiatus we was gone.
3 weeks, home for 6, and then gone for 2 more.
Yeah, so been interesting. But yeah, Hartwell, that was a fun one. You had to work last week, kind of 4 days. Yep. You ain't had to work 4 days since. We talked. Was it Toledo Bend last year? Was the last time we've worked 4 days?
First tournament of the year.
Yeah. So it's been a long time coming. And gosh, I wish we could have put that one away. That was. But we talked Monday. After Monday night, we said, or I told, because you got to go with me, and Aaron does his filming 1 day out of 3 days of practice, because that's kind of He's like, I can get all the content I need if I can catch a few fish. He can get all the content he needs in one day instead of having to bear it out for 3 with me. But it after that Monday night, like we thought, if things pan out, it could get wild. And never caught a fish like I caught them on the first day of practice. I don't think, I caught a lot of big spots. Like some of the biggest spots I've ever caught in my life out there roaming in 20 to 60, 70, 80 foot of water. And I was like, this could be a deal if I could really commit to it. And I never caught a fish doing that during the tournament. I don't know really what happened either, because I thought it would kind of get better doing that in a way, but it got worse. So I don't know if it's because of all the cloudy conditions and the rainstorms and stuff we had, but they actually got shallower for me, and shallow for me is normally, 3 foot and less. And it was, 8 to 25, 30 foot of water I was fishing predominantly, and stuck to my guns. We said after day one, I was telling Aaron, I was like, if I can stick with this spin rod in my hand and really solely commit to it, we might have a shot at this deal. I knew the bed fishing guys would do well. Prosnick, Cook, Benton, those guys are phenomenal at it. And I went up and looked at Monday, and I didn't see much at all. Like I was like, this is not, I think it could run out, or if that many guys are doing it, because we relatively didn't see very many boats first day of practice out there. And that even day 2 and 3, I didn't. And the first day of the tournament, we really didn't see too many out there. I mean, it kept getting less and less and less as the final day. But, me and Paul was about the only 2 guys that I seen, much throughout the tournament. And I did see some pictures, I think yesterday, and right there off the dam, that little old hump, and there's that secondary point that I couldn't get bit off of. Well, hell, Paul was already railing that thing before I could get there every day.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah. Me and Clint and I were watching that unfold right in front of us. Like he would run, hit a spot, you'd hit it next. And then it was like literally every spot that you guys are just rotating through the same areas the whole tournament. I mean, every day you could just watch, especially on the last day when he had 10 boats on him, all of his buddies following him. You could just watch that train go and hit your spot, and he'd leave, you'd roll in there. And then he'd roll to just where you were. Like it was literally just a huge rotation. And you guys would pluck like a fish or 2 off the same exact spots.
Yeah, if a guy would have had that to themselves completely, a guy could have really made some hay, because, a 3.5 pounder was massive, was a big thing. It wasn't for day 1 and day 2 or even day 3, but by day 4 got around, a 3.5 pounder was gold. I mean, it was just, it was one of the tournaments that wasn't meant for me to win, because, we've got to go back and relive my stupid mistake on day 3 of trying to boat flip it's hard to judge those spots. A 2.5 pounder in the water, you put him in the boat and he was 3 or 3.2, and I thought it was a 3 pounder. And when I tried boat flipping, I couldn't even get him even close to the side over the gunnel. It was like, you moron. Next cast, literally the next cast, I lose another 3.5, 4 pounder. And hell, and what was it? A cast or 2 before that's when I caught that other 3.5, almost 4 pounder. So, it was I had the opportunities, which I know Paul and them lost fish, and Mill talked about losing fish. I mean, it was just, that's a tournament, but it was like distinctly those 2 fish were the difference of me having 20 pounds, I think, on day 3 instead of having 17 on the nose. Because I had a couple 2.5 pounders in there. You add a 3.5, 4 pounder in there twice. Adds 3 pounds to my weight. That's a big difference, especially when the weights were as tight as they were. But all in all, if you told me to top 10 at any of them and to get one at Hartwell, the spinner rod, I'd take it day in and day out, no doubt.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people don't know day 2 that you had the penalties you had from fish not wanting to be in your live well. So, I mean, that's another day that, you go from 15 to 16 pounds. That's just another kicker. I mean, especially when it boils down to it on day 4. I mean, what'd you lose by? A little over a pound or whatever it was.
So I hadn't even looked at them, but it wasn't a lot.
No, it wasn't a lot.
Could have been close.
those little things, you know, I mean, after day 3, we both kind of knew, like Santee lined up, you didn't miss a fish, you didn't break a fish off, you know what I mean? Like everything was going perfect. And this tournament had the chance to go perfect, and it just didn't. And you look at Paul's, his seemed to go pretty perfect. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the difference.
But you know, when I pulled up in that saddle, right behind that one island, I pulled up to that cane pile, and you and Clinton just pulled up there, and I fired out there, and there was 3 big ones, and I swam that sonar minnow over it, and that fish come up, and he just grabbed it, and I just pulled into him. I was like, "That's her," and then she shook her head twice and pulled off. You know, I mean, that could have been a 3.5, 4 pounder, and that would have been the difference me, you know, winning the tournament. I had one other fish that came up late on it, and it come up, and it was a big one, you know, whether if it was a hybrid or a big old spot, but it come up and just grabbed it, and I pulled into her and just held her, and you could just watch one big head shake, and she pulled off. But all in all, 3rd place, we got massive points. Had 2 really good tournaments, really. You know, I mean, back to back, you know, it's same way at Pascatank. I lose 1 4-pounder on day 1 on a chatterbait under a dock, get her to the boat, and went to boat flipper, and she got her head down, and I went to land her beside the boat, and she jumped off. You know, that was a 4-pounder. Well, that was another 2.5, 3 pounds in my bag that day, and that'd have put me in the top 10. So had opportunities back to back top 10s, but I'll take a 10th and a 13th back to back tournaments for the rest of the year, and I wouldn't feel 1 single ounce bad about that. You know, because
I mean, what were you?
This is I've been
Oh, go ahead.
way out of the cut. You know, I sitting 13th. This is the best I've been sitting in the points in several years. You know, even when I won that year, I was sitting pretty good, but then I bombed the next tournament, so you know, really didn't help out the point situation there. But you know, I'm setting up there way up in them. I mean, if I accidentally string together a couple top 10s and you know a top 15 or 2, and you know things could get close at the end of the year. You know, it's kind of weird to be thinking about that this early, but why not? You know, it could happen.
Yeah. Well, and it's one of those deals. Like Hartwell was cool because we talk and joke about it with our buddies all the time. Like Luke's usually known he can have a good practice, and you better bank on a questionable tournament because it just seems like it never pans out. But this was one of those tournaments that literally after, you know, 13, 14 hours on the water Monday, we said, if things go right, you're going to have a shot at a good tournament. You know, we didn't think it'd turn out exactly the way it did, but we figured if we could do it, it's going to be a top 10. And, you know, you stuck to literally, I mean, you told Dave the first morning, I got, you know, 3 baits tied up, and I'm going to run the same three rods all week long, and I'm either going to live or I'm going to die by it, you know, and literally that's what you did. And you top 10'd it.
So
yeah, it's pretty.
No, it's I don't know. It normally doesn't pan out. Normally in like you know, the tournament at Santee, I literally put a woolly bug in my hand, and this time I put a sonar minnow and like literally lived and died by it. And you know, I talked to several of those. Mill's a phenomenal jig guy. Paul's phenomenal. Tucker's really good at it. Like those guys are really good minnow fishermen, and they didn't talk about it at all. They couldn't catch them on it. You know, like Paul even come out, he's like, "How in the hell were you catching them?" And I said, "I was pinging a minnow." He's like, "Dude, I couldn't get a bite on a minnow at all. Like, could not catch them." I was like, "Well, that's what I did for 4 days straight." Well, hell, for 7 days straight. You know, I mean, I caught a few. I caught a few on a drop shot and a few on a like a Nico rig dinger. I caught quite a few on, was it 2nd or 3rd day of practice? It got tough and flat calm and like no wind whatsoever, and I couldn't get them to eat the minnow good. And I was throwing that dinger and just put a nail weight. I put a big nail weight. It was like a 5/32 that way because I was throwing a light one on some, and the fish would just really swim up there and look at it and never eat it. But I put that heavier one on it, and it would fall a little bit faster, and those fish would go down a lot quicker, and they'd eat it. Not every time, but most of the time they would eat the bait. So it was kind of neat to do a few things different, but I still was like, I had 3 minnows tied on. Like, I had 6 rods on the deck, 3 of them were minnows. I had a Zara spook tied on, a drop shot, and like a wacky rig dinger, well, Nico rigged or however you want to call it. But that was all I had. I mean, when I get simple like that, my confidence goes way up, and I just, I'm go for broke really. I mean, and it's hard to go for broke very often in these tournaments because of the classic, and missing the classic last year killed me. Like, that pissed me off more than anything in the world. It seemed like it myself, because I always wanted to make the classic. That was what I always had my pride of doing. Whatever it took was to make the classic, and I didn't. And I done last year. There was more rods in my deck every tournament than there has been all this year. I mean, Pascatank, I had a spinner bait, a chatter bait, and a wacky rig dinger and a woolly bug. That was it, and done well there, and hell, even Florida, the first one I had, 4 rods tied up, they all had woolly bugs on them. So, and then Okeechobee, you remember how many I had on the front deck there? I mean, it was just, and that was my worst finish so far. So, I mean, it just, if I can ever get dialed in on something, because I'm not a big junk fisherman. Like, you go look at Brian News front deck. Well, hell, he passed us. Remember going to Hartwell? And we was both like, holy cow, how many rods? He literally had rods strapped on both sides. You couldn't fit another rod on his front deck. And then he had a lay in between his seats. I know he had 40 rods, laid out. And I was like, I'm screwed if that's what it's going to take to win, and so it's just, some guys can do it. Patrick Walters is another guy that just, always has a tons of rods on his deck. And I can't keep my stuff organized enough. I get aggravated when I got 2 spinning rods and they're tangled up and my bait casters and jerk baits. And I just can't do that. So keeping it simple for me. And I said that at the beginning of the year. I told you I was, through the fall and winter, I was like, I have got to get back to simple and go with what I can do, not with all this other stuff and get tied up in the hype of all the other baits and stuff. Just do what I can do and, go on. Because I know there's a bunch of guys throwing glides. I mean, I was wanting to throw one so bad, and I'm not a good glide guy. I mean, that's just not my thing. And I think I had one tied on the first day of practice for about 3 throws, and I was like, I can't do it. I just can't do it. And so I just went back with what I can do and go on about it.
I think too, like, I mean, we talked, right, the night before the tournament, you were like, I don't know if I've been this nervous for a tournament in a long time, just knowing the fact that, will the bank play in this, or am I going to be, am I doing what I'm doing is right? Or am I going to have to be on the bank and these guys are going to catch them off beds and everyone in the top 10 is going to be a bed fisherman and I'm going to be down here out in La La land and look stupid. I mean, that's literally what we talked about because you didn't know.
The one thing I can say though, it seems like anywhere you go, if there's a spotted bass or smallmouth, like the sonar minnow or pinging a minnow is always a player, no matter what time of year, so that was one kind of thing that I looked at too, because, I mean, we had water temperatures 68 to 71 or 2, it seemed like. And that first morning that you went with me, the topwater bite was dumb. I mean, like the first spot I pulled up to was like, boom, 2.5, 3-pounder, roll up to the next spot, 4 or 5 fish off of it. It was just everywhere we pulled up that morning, they were on top. And I think I caught 2 fish the rest of the week on a topwater in practice. And, but, I wouldn't have squat until after 11 o'clock, even in practice. You'd call me, hey, what time's dinner? And I'd say, dude, I ain't caught squat. And it's 2 o'clock. And from 2 to 4 o'clock, I'd have 17 to 19 pounds. It was just that afternoon deal for me. I don't know if them fish we had quite a few little thunderstorms going through. And I don't know if that kind of, pulled those fish, made them go to the bottom instead of elevating where you could see them better or what. But it changed every day. And I don't know if I really changed with them, but I caught fish off of different spots every day. I would check the same ones and I'd catch a few off of them, but it seemed like my fish would come from a different location. Day 4, I don't know if I caught a fish that culled out anything off the normal spots I was fishing. They all came off of randoms that I had a dot on from practice where I caught a 2-pounder. Well, hell, then there'd be a 3.5-pound largemouth sitting there. So it was definitely different. I wish, looking back now, I wish I'd ran some newer stuff quicker. You know, I kept trying to beat the brakes off of what I had instead of going. And I know I went to a spot. I think it's the second spot I fished on or third that morning. I rolled up there and I went through, and there were some stumps and stuff out away from the bank, and there was a couple big ones sitting on them, and they'd follow my bait down. They would never eat it. And I was just thinking about that on the drive home, that why didn't I go back and check them that afternoon? Because they were good ones. I mean, they looked like they're 3.5, 4-pounders. So, but, you know, hindsight's 20/20, obviously, on everything. You know, it's no different than deer hunting. You wish you'd have drew back a half a second earlier or dropped the pin a little lower. You know, all those things you can look back and wish you'd have done. But like I said, third place, I'm tickled to death with it. You know, I mean, you know, I'd love to win, but I'll take the points any day of the week.
We do have to. I know he's on here, old Cletus. Do got to give a big shout out to him. He ran me around all 4 days. I know he worked as hard as he could, but he was kind of locked on Luke by about 10 o'clock every morning. We'd stay out there till about 1:30, 2 o'clock and follow him around. And that was huge, obviously, for our content. It was huge motivation because we'd get Luke all wound up, start playing some tunes, you know, just the vibe was right. And that's, you know, it was just funny because every day, like you said, about 11 o'clock, he'd start catching them. And that's about right when we'd roll in, as we'd time it, you know, we'd probably get over there about 10:30 or so. And then the action would, you know, get going. And it was a good time. But you got buddies like that that'll take, I mean, we didn't even know it was going to be a thing until, you know, the night before he called, said, "Hey, you want to go? I got my boat." And I was like, "Well, absolutely." You know, because we had it in our head that it was going to be a pretty good tournament as long as everything lined up right. So I was like, "I'll jump on that, not a problem." And he hauled us around, and after the tournament days were over, we go to dinner, and it was just a good week. You know, Hampton's mom put us up in a great place right on Hartwell. You know, we pretty much had our own bungalow upstairs, so you know, all three of us could just kind of wind down at night and get a good sleep and get back up and after it the next morning. So just another dot on the map where we literally have awesome people that put us up for the week, which keeps us going, especially when you're on the road for 3 weeks. It can get challenging at times mentally.
Yeah. But heck, the only thing is we missed going to Savannah Banana game. That was the only thing we missed out on. I guess if I wouldn't have top 10 that we could have went to that, but that'd have been a pretty cool deal to go watch. Which we did. We watched it on TV stuff, everything. It was good, but they said they had over 80,000 people at that game.
Yeah, it's something dumb. I remember trying to get an Uber home that night from the bar, and I couldn't get an Uber for like an hour, and I was like, "Why is this not a deal?" And then somebody told me next morning, like, "Oh yeah, Savannah Bananas got out." I'm like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense." So
that makes it good. That probably helps out.
Yeah.
So,
but next up, we got Lake Fork. Thoughts coming on to Lake Fork?
Man, I don't know. I'm kind of mixed emotion on it. You know, I can't figure out because it's not got hot here in Oklahoma. So I mean, that's not far. I mean, it is further south, obviously. You know, a couple hours for me. The last time I was there, which it sucked. The last time I was there, I done terrible. You know, and we had all the proof that I just didn't put them in the boat. You know, that was just it. It's going to be big weights. I mean, always is at Fork. You know, I don't know if it's going to take, you know, what it took like 20 pounds a day to even think about cracking the top 50 last time. I don't know if it'll be quite much, but they were like, I think there was a bunch of bedfish up last time we were there and a lot of pre-spawn and stuff like that going on because we were there in the end of February, 1st of March. So, you know, it's obviously going to be a big post-spawn deal going on. Should be a good shad spawn. You know, if it's not over with, I don't know. I hadn't really looked at the water temperature or anything down there. I kind of just roll up when I get there and, you know, kind of have an idea what I'm going to do. But I think Fork's probably fishing pretty good. You know, They've had it low for a year or two, I think, and I think there's quite a bit of bank grass and stuff like that. So it could be a fun topwater deal. I hope so. And I'd love to go catch 25, 30 pounds a day on a Zara spook right off the bat in the mornings. That'd be ideal, but we know that never works out for me, it seems like. But you never know. I'm just going to put a few rods on the deck this time. I'm not going to go do stupid stuff like I normally do. I'm just going to go fishing. I've been to Fort several times now, and it's been different every time, but they live there. They always do. It seems like it's a hero or zero lake for me too. So that's kind of a scary thing too. But I wish we'd go in I don't know, end of March, 1st April. So there's a ton of fish up shallow, but there's always fish shallow up there, obviously. But I still think it's, people like Lee that know that lake really, really well and know where those fish go. It's when they get done spawning and pull up and do what they do there. And, what Lee caught a 40-pound bag there on day 3 or 4 that year he won, and he's won twice there. So he knows with the wind, which way it blows, what are the good shell beds at that time. I'm not a shell bed fisherman. I couldn't even tell you what one looked like probably, but I know they catch them on them. But I'm going to definitely put on the saltwater version of Zara Spooks and bomb it out there this week and see what happens. So I don't know if they haven't got the rain that we have, which that lake doesn't fluctuate like our ponds do around here. So I wish it would. That'd be sweet. Flipping buck bushes with 60-pound braid and cracking, 6, 7, 8, 9 pounder. That'd be pretty awesome. But I don't see that happening. We'll be fishing standing timber and hoping we don't rip our lowers off there.
Sure. I know what we were going to bring up. So anyone that's watching, we've been throwing around the idea of bringing some guests on here, whether it's other anglers, camera guys, whatever, you name it. So if you guys have any suggestions on who we should get in contact with to get on some of these, obviously we're pretty outgoing fellas, so usually we can get along with a lot of these guys. So if you can shoot us some comments in here, give us some ideas. We'd love to have guys come on and join us. Just kind of give us their outlook, like for example, have Cooper Gallant get on here and tell us what he thinks about Lake Fork coming up, or, whatever the case may be. But definitely shoot us some ideas. We've been throwing that idea around for a few weeks now. We're just kind of scratching and clawing for some ideas for good guests to bring on here. Obviously, those are the type of guys we're looking at, like Cooper or Matt Robertson, Corey Johnson, all those guys that are kind of goofy like we are, but have a good time, and they're damn good at what they do. So definitely shoot us some comments, give us some ideas, and we'd love to have those guys jump on if we can get them on. So what else do we got?
Was Cooper shark fishing all week?
Yeah, he was shark fishing out of his room. Like, I don't know if you've seen that, but he had the rods stuffed in the couch inside, running the line out to the ocean. So I don't know. I never seen if they caught anything. I know I reached out to him. He was struggling a little bit to catch one. And I don't know if they ever did, but I know the setup they had was pretty sweet, taking the drone and running the line out, flying the line out in the bait and dropping it out past the breakwater. So, I mean, that's a pretty cool thing. That kid, it's insane how much that kid fishes throughout the year. Like, I mean, he's from Canada and he's fishing the Elite Series, but literally there is not an off week for that kid. He is saltwater fishing when he's not freshwater fishing.
He's constant.
Just gone 24/7.
And he goes. And he's a good guy. I like Coop. He's always been a good buddy of ours and stuff. And like you said, though, he leaves freaking mid-January, and he doesn't go home until December. I mean, he might fly home for a week or something here and there, but he's gone constantly. I mean, kudos to him getting to do it. That's awesome for him. But I kind of like being home every now and then. Kind of got that homebodiness about me, I guess. I guess that's being home all these years and stuff, and not because I never traveled fishing back whenever before I got on the Elites, man. I hadn't been out of Oklahoma a handful of times fishing. You know, I've been to the Red River with my buddy Steve Bird a few times, and we'd go to those classics and stuff. But I'd never really had been out. And then I fished the opens and got out and stretched my legs a little bit. But hell, I always enjoyed fishing back home with Dad and stuff like that. And it kind of, you know, which now I don't get to hardly at all. So that part kind of that's the only one of the few things that are tough about the fishing world. You know, traveling so much like we do. But you know, obviously, we get to fish in pretty cool places. You know, and I get to do a few pretty cool things throughout the years. Especially, you know, we've linked up with people over the years now, and hell, they're like family to us. It seems like, but you know, we've got to experience some cool things that we probably wouldn't have done ever, you know, if it wouldn't have been for the opportunities with them. So we really appreciate them taking us out and doing a few things and showing us our south.
Makes you really think about it. You know, I was up here, I'm at my cabin, northern Wisconsin right now, and got a couple buddies up here, and it was one of their birthdays last night, and we kind of sat around, had a few beers, and you know, I was telling about salt water, we went offshore and doing all that stuff, and they finally looked at me and said, "Dude, the stuff that you guys get to do, we will probably never ever see." You know, like one traveling, hitting every state in the country, to offshore fishing, to blue marlin fishing in Ocean City, Maryland a couple years ago. I mean, like you said, the stuff that we get to see and enjoy and have fun doing, 80% of the population doesn't have a chance to do that, you know. So traveling's hard sometimes, but then you look at it that way, it's like, life ain't too bad. So
Not too bad. Like I say, don't the hardest thing is just missing family. That's the worst part of it. You know, even the driving's not terrible. You know, which heck, I literally left Hartwell and I rolled in to the house at 6 a.m. Monday morning. You know, just to, you know, I'd missed the wife and kids, wanted to see them. Rolled in here and got to see them before they went to school and stuff. And they let me sleep a few hours, but it was nice getting to come back home and see them. But you know, we're only home for a short time, so got to make it worthwhile. And I think she's had me working the whole time I've been. So we've laid flooring, my knees. I don't think I could lay flooring for a living. Not a chance.
no.
That right there. And we just laid a small room, and I was give out. My knees were killing me, or maybe I'm just getting old. You know, that might be it too. But it's been nice to get to do the old manual labor instead of fishing every day. So
a little change of pace.
well, we got.
Well, my mom said you should have the anglers' moms on as guests. I don't know about that.
We don't need to get yeah. So
I gotta show you. Now, I'm not a fisherman by any means, but that's the view from my cabin, and that lake looks pristine right now.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a bunch of buddies coming up. Well, not a bunch, but a handful of buddies coming up tomorrow, and it's the walleye opener here in Wisconsin tomorrow at midnight, actually. So, of course, my buddies want to be on the water as clock strikes midnight to catch some walleyes. They are in full spawn mode. It should be setting up to be pretty neat. There's a feeder creek down on the south end of this lake, and I went down there with some buddies last night with the flashlight, and they are just stacked in that creek right now spawning. So it should.
Is that where we kind of caught them out there on the grass line when we were there? You know, we caught them on drop shots.
That's the north end, but I mean they'll be stacked up. Yeah, they'll be stacked up in there too. I mean, that center, you know where that center bar is out there, where you had that muskie follow you. Yeah, that's where they did all their damage last year. They said literally they had headlamps on. Obviously, it's midnight, and you'd shine out there, and there'd just be hundreds of eyeballs everywhere. So should be pretty neat.
Big Taylor coming up.
Oh yeah. Well, he was kind of tentative because he got home from work today, and they've been getting a ton of rain down there, and I guess he went upstairs and he only bought this house like a month ago, and he went upstairs and there was water coming in everywhere. Here he's got a roof leak or something going on, and so he's like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, but supposedly he's got somebody lined up to come and at least look at it and give him an idea on when they can fix it. So it sounds like he'll still make it, because man, if he didn't make it, the band would be missing one of the one of the key assets to the party. So
yeah, Taylor's a man. He's a character. That's somebody who loves to fish. I think he might love it more than we. I mean, he lives for it. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, long as he's catching fish, but he is definitely the diehard muskie man. Though when we're up there, he is dialed in on that big time. But it's the only thing I hooked a big muskie at
St. Clair,
St. Lawrence.
Oh yeah, it was St. Lawrence.
That was a big one, and I could never get in the boat because I was scared of its teeth and stuff. And you wouldn't get
it.
Yeah, that thing was huge. Because Mercer gave me 9 kinds of hell about that, not being able to get it in the boat. Yeah. Now that'd be an experience, but mine was definitely on a lot smaller line than what he's using up there, and a lot smaller. No, that'll be a good time. All those guys get up there and y'all get to catch them. That'll be a good time for sure. Sure, y'all be at Slows once or twice.
I might venture in there every once in a while and check things out. You never know.
Well, Friday night's a big fish fry night up there, isn't it?
Yeah, Friday fish fry. I think Taylor's got it in his head. You gotta go down there for the big smelt fry they put on or something, he said. So we'll go down there and have us some smelt. It's all you can eat smelt. And you want to see a kid put down smelt, he will eat 4 or 5 baskets of it and still be hungry. I don't know how he does it, but he does it.
Those are like little old sardine looking things, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Like I don't think so. I'm good.
They're all right, but I don't like them as much as he does because, I mean, he will literally sit there and eat 4 baskets and 15 bush lights and just take off running like never even hit him. So,
dang. Yeah. He's a good time. Now, I guess you fly to Dallas on Tuesday, and I guess the crew will be back in. We got us Airbnb at Fork. So if not staying with Scott this year, over his Fisherman's Cove, wasn't it? His name of his place. Yeah. Pretty sure that is a super nice place to stay. So if you guys are ever down at Fork, look up Scott there at Fisherman's Cove. He's got a boat ramp right there. Really nice rooms and stuff to stay in. I mean, you're literally right there at Fork. You pull out of your room, and he's got what's really cool about it. He's got it set up to where you can plug your boat in anywhere up and down his motel. You can plug in. It's easy access to the lake. Just a great place to stay. I waited too late to call Scott this year, and to get us in. I think the cat got out of the bag last year. That is a great place to stay. There's a bunch of elite guys staying there, and plus he's always got some people there fishing the lake that are just down from all over. I talked to him Sunday night when I was driving, and he said, "Man, I've got people coming from all over the country in the Fork right now." So he's doing well there. So happy for him. But he's a good dude. So like I said, look him up, Fisherman's Cove there. He's a great place to stay. And then we roll down to Sabine after that one. And they get to see we get to see Baby Docs, so Daniel Ruff, and him and the boys and Marissa, and roll in with them. They're always a good time with them anyway. And fishing won't be quite as big at Sabine, but it's always I just like Sabine. Everybody else kind of bashes it and stuff, and I mean, you catch fish. I mean, it's not like you don't catch fish, and you get to catch them in less than 3 foot water. The whole time you're there. So that'll be back to the simplicity of life again, and get the old frog out and the buzz bait and the woolly bug and go flipping, and just cover water. So that'll be a fun one. It's going to be warm. So I did just get some, Wes sent me some new exotic stuff too. So some new Air shirts and everything like that. So he got us hooked up for the down south trip. I think they're going to show up Wednesday night, I think, of Sabine. So they'll be down there at it. So it'll be good. You haven't got to meet Wes yet, have you?
No.
Wes and Jared. Yeah, they'll be down there. They're some good dudes and stuff with exotics. So looking forward to that. Maybe we can have us a good tournament and get to wear the Air X shirts because, hell, it hadn't been warm enough all year. Like I did get to break out the shorts, I guess, at the last derb, but other than that, it's been sweat shirts and bibs and everything else. So we're going to go from one extreme to the next.
Hartwell was the first one that we didn't have wind. I mean, literally most of the week
nice.
we didn't have hardly any wind. I mean, the last day it got a little breezy, but it's still just a little chop and enough to cool you off. Otherwise, it would have got hot.
Oh yeah, it would have been bad. And those. Luckily, we had some cloudy weather too. Kind of, we had those storms. They'd always roll through at night and be gone in the morning, which was I was not mad about. It was kind of nice to not have to be wearing the rain suit all day long and stuff. But the fact that we didn't get beat to death by wind was nice, because every single tournament this year has been wind, and we might have a day or two, but it seems like it's been a horrible tournament season as far as weather wise. The weights have been good, the tournaments have been good. It's just the weather has not been ideal, but that is the one thing about us. We don't get to pick our days.
No.
I mean, I guess you get to pick your days when you go out to practice, which that's why you went on Monday instead of the next 2 days. But, I mean, we have to go no matter conditions, whatever. And that's what's been good about Exotic. Their clothing's been pretty spot on for this year for us. So warm stuff. And now we're about to break out the cool gear, and looking forward to it. Like, it's definitely, we'll say that when we're sweating to death here in about another.
I was going to say, we're going to want wind
5
that's
or
to be
6 days.
and we're never going to get it.
Oh, God. Yeah, it'll be 115 down there with no wind, just sweat to death. Aaron is from the north, and he does not prefer the Sabine trip just for the heat. He's not when it gets above about 75 or 80, he's like, yeah, I'm ready to go back north where it's cool. So
Yep.
I
don't like melting to the carpet. That's never fun.
No, it does get rough. Yeah, I wonder what the hell Blake's doing tonight. He's probably got buddies and stuff fishing that deal, and he probably got I don't know. I didn't talk to him who he's staying with this week. I know I talked to him once or twice, texted him a few times. He called me, but hell, I was asleep Monday morning when he called. But he's been texting me a little bit, and he said fishing's pretty tough. But that's always a water's rising like that. So, but when it does top out and it starts coming down, though, you follow will be fun to fish in the bushes. Like that's one of my favorite places in the country to go when it's in the bushes. Like you can go catch fish all day long, throwing a buzzbait, spinnerbait, flipping a jig or woolly bug, whatever. You can go and have a lot of fun. And maybe 10 kilo will be 7 foot high when we get there in June, but they'll drop the bottom out of that thing, I'm sure. So we won't be fishing bushes. So that'll be it. So, but I don't know. I don't know what else.
I don't either. How's the little man doing?
Well, I got a dose of it pretty good last night. Me and him, Chris has been, people say they don't sleep. He don't sleep. I took him where she'd get some sleep last night. She's been getting like an hour and a half, 2 hours of sleep max at night, period, since I've been gone. And last night I said, you need to get some rest. And about 9:30, she said, well, I'm going to sleep. And she was out. And so he woke up about 10:30 or so. And me and him got in the recliner all night. And he didn't sleep a whole lot.
Yep.
So he's been just a very, but it is still good to see him. I've missed him dearly. It does suck when he's crying constantly, but there is those times when he's smiling. Landry, she had a track meet today at Atoka, so we went and watched her, and she got 2 seconds and a first, so that was pretty cool by her. The 400 meter, it was funny. That was her last race, and she come around. She was leading it all the way till the end there. And this girl got close to her, and she was gassed. Like, you could tell her arms were dragging. And she's in 4th grade, so 400 meters is long. It's long for me. And she got to looking, and all of a sudden you kind of seen her head kind of go back, and she seen that girl right beside her. Boy, those arms got to going again. Boy, she's giving her hell, and she won pretty good. So that was funny to watch her doing that. But she's a go-getter. She likes to win. So maybe if old Luke would start liking to win again, he might bring home some trophy and some money.
Yep.
I think she's got gymnastics meet Saturday at Bartlesville. I think that's regional, so she's got to get in the top 3 overall to make it to state. or she's at state, whatever the next level is. But I think it's actually right there before we go to 10 killer. So that'll be a thing. She can get after it. So, but hopefully me and Dad fish this weekend, and she's pulling up from dance right now. She goes constantly. Gymnastics 2 days a week, dance 1 night a week, gymnastics meet this weekend. So it's a constant rat race around. So, but
Are they coming to Fork?
Yeah, I think I got to put out bounce houses all next week, so I kind of lucked out on that, I guess. They got a bunch going out next week, and then I think they're supposed to come up maybe Friday afternoon. I think Thursday they got stuff going on, and then she's got dance Thursday night too. So Friday they'll hopefully get to come up Friday, and we're fishing Saturday and Sunday. Hopefully, need to keep the at least day 3 cuts rolling, but day 4 cuts would be really nice to keep that rolling. Keep us on rolling. That'd be nice. Keep it going, but I don't know. We'll see. It's won't be here. Be here in a few days. We get to roll out, and I'm just go and rig more tackle tomorrow. Get the boat lined up, and if I'm fishing Sunday, I'm just gonna go put a bunch of braid on. So get the big stuff out, but then we roll to Fork. I leave out. I fish that tournament. I'll leave that tournament and drive straight to Fork and fish. Hopefully, 14 days in a row after that. That's the plan. But we'll see how it goes.
Oh.
Yeah, that'll be 14, 16 days in a row, and it won't be short days at any of these tournaments coming up because Sabine's massive. It's got just tons and tons of places you can fish. You can put your boat in just one area and drop the trolling motor and not pick it up for 2 days. So that'll be a Fork. Fork's not as big, but it's just you got to try to cover a lot of water there too, and get in the area where they're at. And hopefully. Because there's a bunch of areas that play in that lake. They always do, and it seems like I'm always in the area that doesn't play as well. So let's try to flop that around this year.
I'd say you were pretty decent area last year. You just couldn't get it in the boat.
No joke. Yeah, because there was 2-3 guys in the top 10 right around where I was at, and I was just over there. Hey, they're right here. I'm going to lose this one. You just come over here and catch him after I leave. So, but I don't know. We'll see. It'll be here before we know it. We'll get to figure out here in about 10 days how good it is or not.
Yep.
So
back in action.
But
good stuff.
Well,
oh yeah. Side deal too. This is completely off topic, but David sent me a thing today. So I went down there and shot that gator last year, and pulled the stats off of that lake. And he said, was just looking up the alligator harvest report from where we killed your gator last year. They killed 112 gators off that lake, and 6 of them were over 12 foot long.
Holy cow.
Yeah. Like mine, it was 11 and a half.
And yours is like,
we thought we were big shooters. And then I see that. I'm like, all right, we're not as cool anymore.
It's still pretty cool though. Yeah, maybe next year maybe next year or something like that, we can all link up and go together. That'd be a cool one to do. This year Lakin had just been born, so it was I need to stay home anyway, and which I wanted to, to see him cry for the first 7 months. I mean, he might make it a full year of crying. He's consistent. I'll give him that. So maybe I can get consistent at top 20 in it and be like him. So, and now that'd be fun. I'd love. Which David's always a good time, good dude down there. So it'd be a fun trip. I'd love to go do it. So
yeah,
but
I think he said
I think I'm about to go dinner.
Oh, go ahead.
What's that?
I said I think he's putting in for tags, so you have a shot.
Oh, good. Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be awesome. So I think Chris has got something cooking in there. I ain't ate much today. I think we can wrap her up and go get that done. I've got a lot of stuff to do in the morning and grass to mow, but I think we got rain coming tonight, so I might not have to mow grass, but I damn sure need a weed eat. It's looking rough. Get the weed eating and spraying done and go get tackle done tomorrow afternoon. I think we talked maybe taking Landry. We might go fish some ponds at Dad's and hang out with the fam tomorrow and get ready to go because it ain't long. We'll be back fishing, so if not, I guess we'll roll. Maybe Blake, he'll be on maybe next week. We'll run it again maybe next Thursday after day 1, kind of see how we're both sitting. Hopefully it's good. And good luck to the boys that you follow this week.
Sounds good. We appreciate you guys all jumping on here, and we will catch you next week back on Tourney Talk.
All right. See you guys.
Bye, Luke.